scene. So basically what we've got now is, you may have heard, basically this is a ray tracing engine that you can run through a web browser. So what I've done is I've taken the standard Revit scene, done an export, and it exists in the new interface. So we can maneuver and pan around, and you'll see that as we zoom in and change, it starts recalculating all the light. You see the reflections change, and it's doing all this in real time. Now, the nice things that have been added is that we've got full functionality and views from Revit, including design options. I'll show you that in a second. But you'll be able to go into your Revit list and actually get all the information. So in Revit, this is really just a simple interface. You have a clever ribbon and a button. And out of here, you just press the button, you log in, and you export your model out. You can select all your different views. So I've gone ahead and selected everything that's in here. And then if I want to, I can actually pick around by the view and see those different views. Or I take my 3D cameras and jump to any of those quickly and easily. And again, you'll see it update. This scene is, of course, the base. We all start with this thing and look at it as a minimum baseline. But we've done some other ones as well. So I've got one that I'm finishing up here. That's a big project that I just started a second ago. But I wanted to show you one out of Max. So this is a massive, massive file in Max, right? And that export took less than a minute to go out of Max into the Clever engine. If I can find my mouse. There we go. This is it in the Clever engine. So now we have the ability to maneuver around. And again, we get all of our cameras and viewpoints. So we can jump around. All V-Ray materials are supported. So those are coming through. When you're in the interface, you've got some ability to maneuver around. So you can use your ASD keys to maneuver, and you can also free maneuver. There's also the option, if you have these little buttons, these are pre-saved cameras, so they'll fly you between the different camera points. And it's pulling all that out of your model, whether it's in Max or whether it's in Revit. You've got a menu bar here across the bottom, so this lets you show your output size. So if you do a simpler one or you have not a spectacular hardware, you may want to use one of the lower settings just to get a faster update. Again, if you go to a higher setting, more pixels, more information, higher quality rendering. We can also adjust our display options, so we can go to just a generic hidden line view. And again, you're just going to get white mask and edge. We can dumb that down. There you go. Or the realistic will bring all your materials. Then you have your post-production settings. So you don't have to go to Photoshop or some other program to manipulate this stuff. You can actually do it in real time while you're here. Adjust all these settings, right? You can set it. Now, what's interesting is the camera that they use is an auto-exposing camera. So you'll notice that if we turn up towards the sun, it gets dimmer. So it's doing that automatically. So it works really well. It's kind of balancing for interior versus exterior scenes. And then if we turn away from the camera again, it'll brighten back, or from the sun, it will brighten back up. You've got your other options in here. You can also affect glow and vignetting, so you can make that. I don't know if you guys can really see that on your end. You can adjust it. Then we've got our option to disable these interactive views. So if you don't like these little pop-ups, if you're in a Revit file, you'll see a lot of these all over. Let's toggle those guys on. There you go. So there's a lot, right? If you want to turn them off, you can just disable that easy enough and make this easier to see. Then we have our navigational speed settings. So this just changes how fast you're jumping around. So on a slower setting, if you go to slower and you use the arrow keys to move around, it's a much slower process than the obviously fast, right? So those navigations use mouse and use keyboard. You can go to where you want. You have your GPU settings. So by default, we're in a medium. If you have lesser than spectacular hardware, you can go to schematic and get a much faster, simpler rendering. If you go up to best, you're going to get a really good light calc. It's going to take a little bit longer, but you're going to get a much nicer picture at the end. The medium is a really great balance, so it's a good place to leave it for most everything. We use this on our box workstations or on our box laptops, or even some MacBooks can get by depending on the scene. At the end, there's a take snapshot. So if you want to work through this with your client or even design review and you want to mark these things up, you can click the take snapshot button and it'll actually download and let you save an image of that snapshot. And you can come mark that up later. You can also then email that and do whatever you want to do. Other fun things is when you're done here, you would then upload. So this is all just running locally on my computer. But if we were to go in and log in, so I'm going to go to the beta site and log in here. I want to show you what it looks like in a web browser. Essentially, it's the same thing, but you get this nice dashboard where you can have all your project information. So we've got different projects here and Revit or 3ds Max models. So when you go into the dashboard, you'll have all this. And we'll pick one like, let's take this Ivy house, right? So this is the way we would interact with this in the website. So we'll go here, we'll click View Project, and what it's going to do is it's going to download the scene from the site to my local computer and load this up for us to view. The workspace settings that are here, right now you can, Nimrod, have we got sharing enabled yet? Maybe he's not there. So there's an option to share. Yeah, is sharing the projects enabled yet or no? Or will it be enabled?
No. In a month, okay. In the open beta.
All right, so there's an option here you can share. It will get fixed. So the nice thing is one person can upload it. You can share it with your whole design team or with an external client or consultant, and they can all see the same model and review it. And it's spinning. I have asked it to do quite a lot. I've got 4 different scenes open right now, and normally you would only be in one. So I've got a few going here. Let me kill some resources, and I'll free up some. Any questions so far? Do we have somebody watching chat, I guess? Let's see. Let me close out of the city model. There we go. All right. So now we're going to jump into the Ivy scene. Not a horrible load. And what you see over here is this is it calculating the global illumination. So right now we're doing GI calc every time you come into the file. Later on it can actually be pre-baked, so your load time and quality is going to go up. We're also increasing the sampling on that in the beta, so that'll be out next month. And you're going to see a lot more refined lighting. Again, this is a nice scene. It's got all V-Ray materials and textures. And I'm going to go up into one of these rooms, kind of look around. So you'll notice if you watch the shadow here, it starts kind of blocky, and then as it progresses, it gets better. That's it, doing all that through the CL3VER engine through your browser. And again, there's no application download. It's straight through a web browser. There's some artifacting that's happening that's due with the sampling. That's going to get changed and improved on. What's nice is you have support for V-Ray proxies and such, so all the grass and the plants that are here. And even down to the ivy on the wall. So essentially that's kind of where we're at with the application right now. It's a cool engine, it's got a lot of potential, a lot of advantages for what we can do. We've used this with a couple of clients and used it for internal design review. Feedback's been great. Everybody loves the engine. I love seeing the materials. The hidden line view is great when we're just talking about mass and form, just to kind of get a sense for the volume. And it's really fast, so if you've got lesser than spectacular hardware, hidden line will get you in and let you maneuver around. And let's see what else. So right now, Revit, 3ds Max, both are supported. The plan is for SketchUp in the future, and is there going to be a Rhino option, Nimrod?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Rhino's been added. If we go back up here to the top, we have our workspace selection and projects. We can pick various projects. Let's see, what's another good one? The city one we did.
Mike, we do have one question that came in, if now's a good time.
Sure.
Someone wants to know, how does this interact with the current CL3VER system with 3D Mobile Interactive?
So Nimrod can probably answer that better, at least for the roadmap of where it will end up. The idea is that it will have that integration. Currently, you cannot run this on a mobile.
Currently not, but we'll have a version of it's a feature called the Publisher, where you'll be able to publish these links on a website, and then it will be supported with mobile devices that will be powerful enough to run it. So on Surfaces or iPad Pros, that would be, I imagine, not a problem. But as normally these devices are limited by the amount of RAM on the GPUs, they tend to be less reliable than desktop or laptops in that sense. And because we support VR, normally we tend, well, at least for this version, we tend to go more to the high-end machines.
Right, and then, so the better the machine, of course, right now it's still single GPU support, multi-GPU supports on the roadmap. I'm using a box workstation with a P5000, and it is performing fantastically well at doing this. And again, this is early on code, so as the beta improves and we get to production release code, it's going to get faster and better. The beta is going to be, is it open now or open in July for signups? You know, you can sign in now, right?
Yes, to sign up, there'll be a link that you can provide after the webinar with landing page, frequently asked questions. and they can sign up directly for the beta, and somebody from CL3VER will get back to them immediately.
All right, so you can go, so I've got that link, and so it should be open for everybody. There you go. So then you can go here to the CL3VER, make sure you remember the 3. Fill in and register, and then one of those lovely people will contact you.
Yeah, and just to mention that by the 17th of July, we will have a new beta version, which will be, well, publicly to registered users open. And many new features will be available, like the VR version, the ability to download and save locally the file of the presentation to run it in offline, to have annotation functionality, adding annotations, sharing, and improved rendering quality, loading times, and general faster global illumination. And this would be by the 17th of July.
Great, thanks. Another question came in. Are orthogonal / axonometric views supported in addition to the perspectives?
Not right now, but on the roadmap is we're actually going to give you a button so that when you're in a Revit scene, if you've got sections and elevations, you can actually toggle that, because we've had mixed feedback. Some people like the perspective when they're in the elevation in their section, others don't. So we're going to give you a toggle button so you can have it whichever way you like.
Yes, this will be ready for the launch.
Someone is producing a lot of animations and they want to know how CL3VER can be used or applied there. Does it support, animated geometry? I don't have any more specific information for this question, but that's what they wanted to know.
So like an animated RPG probably, something like that, or an animated proxy.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
Nimrod?
Well, animation is in Max right now. It's supported in the background, but this is going to be post-launch. We're still, as this is a beta and we're testing quite a lot features, that's right now a secondary feature aimed at the Max plugin. But this will be, I would say, the end quarter. I would say there's something for December, or likely, something like that. But it's not high on our priority list right now. We haven't seen much demand for it at this point.
Okay, thanks. And will this be a standalone program, and will it be able to run on Mac?
Through the cloud, if you open it through the browser, it can run on a Mac. And for the standalone version, we have to check it, because it's a different, of course, it's a different operating system, but it's a point we have to make clear. But through the browser, you'll be able to open it. It should run exactly the same, and I encourage everybody to test it on the MacBook Pros or Mac Pros, or of course iMacs. It runs pretty well, but for the standalone, it's something internally I'll have to check, and we'll add it later on to the FAQ page on the beta.
Thanks. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's anything else that we didn't answer.
The question is either follow up on the JPEG thing. I think they're probably asking about skinning it for their company or for some other product. And I don't know. That's a Nimrod question. Well,
we're going to have there's another product which is not available until launch. Well, actually until post-launch, which is going to be called the presenter, where a user will be able to add panels, and it's It's going to be where you can custom make your own presentation, support PDF and videos and images, galleries, but this again will be available post-launch, so before the end of 2017, sorry. My estimation would be around November, and we'll announce this on our web and in our newsletters, the progress. But that's where actually you can create a custom-made presentation out of your Max, Revit, SketchUp, or Rhino files.
So we did get an answer. I'm not sure if this helps, but he did reply back saying they're currently using CL3VER. You can create full presentations with menus and different scene navigations. Does this beta come separate as just the rendering engine?
Yes, right now it's a more, I would say it's more a viewing engine, meaning everything is automatic. So the only custom-made, I would say, solution would be in the presenter, but not inside these plugins, because it's a one-click solution and it's got the standard interface. So at this point, it's not like in the old version where you can custom-make the menus.
So I wanted to show you another thing, we talked about earlier was in Revit that if you have design options, which we've got coded on 2 different views, right? That when you enable those different views, you actually carry design options in, so we can explore different furniture layouts, building skin alternatives, like in this example. And it's carrying this right from Revit, so we're not doing anything extra to get that functionality. It's just coded by the view, so when you have your 3D camera, whatever view settings you've got, they're going to carry through.
Another question came in. This program runs through Revit and they wanted to know if it uses the V-Ray render engine.
Currently, it only uses the V-Ray from Max, and it does a matching to all these material, lights, and cameras. But in Revit right now, there's no synergy between the two programs at this moment.
Do animated objects and cameras come through using V-Ray for 3ds Max?
As I said before, it's supported right now. It's not, you can't show it, meaning it's planned to be later on, but as I mentioned, it's still not a priority. So it will come on later on next year. But yes, whatever has been animated in Max should be, I mean, except for complex things, it should be supported.
Okay, thanks. I think we are all caught up with the questions. Again, if anyone has any additional questions, feel free to put it in the question box, and we will get to it. Oh, one just came in. Can CL3VER load in context such as Google Maps of the buildings around the model?
In the version of the, like I said, of the presenter, a user will be able to use a live link directly from Google Maps to show on-site location. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, if you have topography like what we've done, and this is not a good example, but what we've done before is, we'll create a piece of topography, we'll put a diffuse map material for that is like a capture from Google Earth, just to have it show up in on the plan in Revit, and that'll carry through because it'll carry through the diffuse material. So you could go to the plan if you had topography, the same way you see the streets are out here, right? You could do that currently.
Can you manipulate materials or objects within the viewer?
No. It's if you want to change the scene, you have to do it in Max or Revit, and then either upload that version and overwrite the version that you've saved. But right now there's no live link or the possibility of manipulating inside the viewer. It takes that information from Revit and Max. This is why it's so fast as well. I mean, it just translates it. But again, there'll be, I can't show it right now, but there'll be possibilities of showing different design options. A little bit of how Mike showed it in Revit through different views, but there will be possibilities in the presenter to show different stages or different design options of that same model. You could load a scene that has A colors and then load the same scene with B colors and just toggle between them to show the differences.
Right. So, whatever the design options are, like you said, if you've got them, you'll see different seating configurations over here in the background in this plaza scene. Those are all different options based on furniture layout. So those do work now. So if you've built it in Revit, you've got that option when you get in here, but doing it through the interface right now is not supported.
Okay, and I think there was just a little confusion. So just to reiterate, this is a web-based program using an export from Revit or SketchUp, for example. Is that correct?
Revit and 3ds. SketchUp is in the wings. It's coming.
Okay. Yeah, so just wanted to...
Yeah, just to clear the workflow, I mean, you download the plugin from the workspace, you install the plugins automatically into Max or Revit. Right now we support versions 2016 and 17. And you import the scene from Max or Revit, and it opens a window locally. If you like the scene, you just upload it to your workspace, which is in the cloud, where you can access the scenes and share them with your colleagues or clients.